Okay, hi everyone, welcome to today's design session. I I know it's been a while, but then sorry, I have actually been really held up at work and everything, so I've not really been able to have like this session again to do a couple of Figma explorations. So yeah, let's see what we can get done today. So today, what I'm really going to be doing is it's actually very easy. It's supposed to be like a continuation of the last one. So the last one, if you were present, or if you have seen the video at this point, I tried to like recreate this like landing page and everything. So currently, this hero section rather. So I showed how to make this gem side of spline, export and bring it to Figma, then create this layout and just make everything interactive and make it just flow well. I hope I'm sharing my screen. Okay, so today the continuation is really just going to be trying to create the rest of the website. So you can see as I scroll, you can see how this image interacts. Once I scroll into this particular section, you can see how the image, uh, for some reason, it's acting up. But then ideally, once my mouse touches this section here, you can see that. Okay, let me bring my mouse back into the viewport, so you can see that the sides of the image, just like there's just white space that comes out from the sides of the frame, and then you have the image itself which zooms in. So that's one of the things we're going to recreate. And then the next thing is actually, as I scroll, you can see that the image actually does not scroll when I'm just trying to like follow along. As I'm scrolling, you can see the image actually scrolling, but then once it gets to a certain point, it just sticks, and then the image no longer scrolls. It's just the should I call it the frame itself that scrolls, but the image itself remains, and then you just keep scrolling like that. And the same thing happens once I get to the section. The image scrolls to some extent, then it sticks. So it's called background. I call it background sticky scroll. I don't really know what exactly is the real name for it, but then someone reached out to me and was like, "Oh, he wants to replicate this," and that was what actually set me on this path to trying to replicate this particular scrolling background sticky scroll effect. So yeah, it also happens on the other images, on the other in the other sections. As you keep scrolling, you just keep having that thing. So I think here's a more simplified version of it. So this website here, this design here rather, as I keep scrolling, you can see that this image as well has that sticky scroll. So but this one doesn't have the interaction added to it, so it just has this frame that scrolls, and then you see some part of the image as the frame scrolls across it. So call it back, like I said, I call it background sticky scroll. A couple of websites I see that implement it is, for example, this splinegroup.ca. So let me just copy the link and also paste it in the chats as well. I think anyone's here currently, but either ways. So splinegroup.ca. So basically, as I keep scrolling to this featured project section, you can see over 1,000 projects completed. As I scroll down, you see this image just like it stays in the background. Although this one behaves differently. As I scroll, to some extent, the image like scrolls away as well. But what we're trying to do here, I think what we're trying to do for us, is that the image just remains sticky as you keep scrolling. So you can see the image just like pins to the background. It's just the frame that's moving at this point in time. So as I scroll to a certain extent, the image then scrolls away. So but then ours acts differently. Ours, the image scrolls into view, and then once it gets to the hits the top mark, it just sticks there, and that's how it works for the one I created. So height, okay. So we're just going to like see how we can actually do that. Borrow let's borrow a leaf from this website design. We're not going to really focus on the design of the website itself, but actually the image and stacking and scrolling. So let's quickly get started on this particular one. So create a new file. Should I create a new file? Yes, I should. Okay, so let me just change the background to E4. Okay, so next thing I want to do, add my viewport. So add my viewport, make it what do you call it? 1440 by 810. So why I like this particular size, because it sits perfectly on the 16 by 9 aspect ratio, and that size is just the 1440 is just the default width that Figma gives you for desktop frame. You can make whatever you want. You can make it 1920 by 1080. That's also 16 by 9. Whatever you're making it, just make sure it's on the 16 by 9 aspect ratio scale. So that's just the next thing I want to rename it viewport. So if you're not familiar with the viewport, it's just the particular area of the website that's being displayed at the point in time. So your website is really long, but you can't obviously pack everything, the entire length of the website into like the user's screen. So the viewport is just to the particular area of the design, the or the particular area of the website the viewer can see at a point in time. So this is the viewport for this one. So we're just going to borrow this design language here and bring it into ours. So to do that first, the first thing I want to do is to just type something featured. Start typing something featured project. Okay, you know what? I don't let me just copy this one. I can't seem to. Okay, Control C and then paste here. Featured projects. Cool. So I'm just going to scale it up, K, and then scale up. I'm not really using any size. I just want to do something that looks good. So I think I'll be using Inter for this one. It's already Inter. Feature projects. Okay. Nope. I want to use Nue Montreal. I think that's it. Nue Montreal. But Nue Montreal is actually like a paid font, so you can actually, but then you can get the trial version on what's it called? You can get the free trial version on panagram. Okay, Panagram. Yeah. So let me just look for it. Panagram Foundry. So just search for Nue Montreal. There, do a search. Let's see if search is here. Can't seem to find it. Can't seem to find search. So, so you know what you're going to just do? Just go to Google and search for Nue. Although you don't have to really worry about that, because in this font, I'm going to add the link to download this font in the video when I upload the video on Google on YouTube. Sorry, I'm just like really incoherent for some reason. So yeah, just search for Nue Montreal. I'm going to copy the link now and paste it in the chat in case anyone is here that needs it. Okay, so so yeah, that's been done. So you can just come here and press try for free, and then you get the font free for download. So that's just basically it. So I'm using Nue Montreal, but keep in mind that once you install it, you're not going to find it like as Nue Montreal. You're going to find PP in front of it. So PP is like panagram. So there's just this prefix before any font you download from panagram. If you download this font as well, PP editorial old is also downloaded from panagram, which is why it has PP. So if you're looking for yours, once you have it installed in your computer, just go to PP. You're going to find the Nue Montreal there. So feature project, and then I think for the line spacing, line height rather, I'm going to use, let's say 120%. Let's see how it looks. 120% looks okay. I think it works. 120% for the line height. And then for the letter spacing, let's do -2%. I just normally do. I don't really know where I learned it from. I think I saw it on a thread on someone, like a designer said something like that, like a senior designer said something like, oh, -2% on your header text. Header text. I probably just use -2% there because I'm just used to it. I think actually like taming the line width. I think it's on line width or letter spacing in your text makes it look better, because the default one may not really be all that. So it's not all text I need you to like do minus. For example, this font called this typeface rather called Morganite. Morganite already has its tight Morganite here. It already has its tight letter spacing. So like adding anything else is just going to make it. So by default I leave it at 0. But for fonts, like for some fonts, let me use the word fonts, please. Let's not be confused. So for some fonts like Nue Montreal, I prefer to use like -2. In fact, all my fonts really for the header text, and then for body text, which is text from let's say 20 downwards. Let's say 20 downwards. 20. When I mean 20 in size, font size, 20 downwards, I tend to use like -0.5% or -1, or depending as spirit leads or what looks best. So but typically I start from -1 and then -0.5, and then I think I stop there. So for header text, typically I normally use -2, or if it looks too much, I'm still going to like reduce it even more, -4%. So let's just go with this. Let's also see what those guys have on their site. Spline mechanical, over 1,500 projects completed. So let's just copy this and paste it as well. Ctrl V. Okay, so I'm just going to not group them. I'm going to auto layout them. So auto layout them and then align center. So the spacing between them, let me use 16. So if you don't know why I'm using 16, I didn't just use 16. I'm using what's it called, a spacing system that sits on the 4-pixel rule. So ideally, when you're sizing or spacing things in Figma, I normally use multiples of 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. So 4-pixel space and size things in multiples of 4, 4, 4. So that's just one rule I follow as well. So for this line's height, I think I'm also going to tame it down to let's say 96%. Let's see how it looks. I think I like the look of this 96. Oh boy, let's add plus. So you see, I'm on size thing again. I want to just add plus plus 16. Yeah, so think this looks better than the other one. That one, the spacing was just too much. So, and the other one, for the second one, the spacing was too tight. So let's just go with this. There really is no like set in stone rule. What looks good at the end of the day is what looks good that you should actually go with. But then I tend to just integrate all these things into my design process. So another thing I also want to do for header text like this, typically just want to take out all this extra space at the bottom. So for header text, but then for body text, it's totally fine to leave it. So for header text, I'm just going to go here and then go to this what's it called? Yeah, vertical trim, cap height to baseline. So it just takes out all the extra padding at the bottom, and I think we're cool like this. So I'm just going to centralize everything. Centralize, align vertical center, align horizontal. So let's play. Keep in mind, one thing I always do is when I'm designing like this, I always design on desktop. I always preview on my design, because you can actually look at it like that, then something looks good, but then once you preview on how it's supposed to look, you may have a different so it's just, I think this is the equivalent of what do you call it, artists, because I think there's a rule as for digital artists, they tell you to flip your canvas, like invert your canvas, or like invert your canvas vertically or horizontally. So I think it's just like, this is my own version of that. I tend to preview and then I see how it looks, and it just informs my design decision. And also I also try to if you're previewing on mobile, rather, if you're designing for mobile, try to preview using Figma Mirror. So those are just things I do that help me to like make more informed design decisions. So just try to do that, and I think you should improve your design significantly. So one thing I think I'm seeing from this view here is that the spacing between here and here, it's just too close. So I want to like still space them apart a bit. So I'm just going to use let's do 32. So 32 is still on the 4 pixel grid system. So if you add 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4, it's going to get to 32. So I think 32 works better. I think it works better. So let's just be like 32 and carry on, because this is actually not the major part of our design. Major part is still yet to come. So the next thing I want to do is now start creating sections. But before I create the section, I want to make this a section entirely. I don't on its own. I don't want it to actually be floating in the viewport. It should not be floating, because ideally, if you've heard of this thing, box model, when designing websites, box model, if you're familiar with Webflow or anything really. But then when I really heard it first, when I was trying to learn design, was when in Webflow story, I'll tell you the websites are built using the box model. So everything should be a box, end of a box, end of a box, end of a box. So I don't really have time to delve into that, but then let's just quickly get it done. So here, what I'm going to do is just to name this. I'm going to name this frame hero content, I guess. Let's call it hero content, and then I'm going to shift A to frame it again. Then I'm going to call this one section. Let's just call it section. So this is the section box that we're going to be using. So I'm going to make the section box. I'm going to make all the boxes really. I'm not going to make all the boxes, but for this box particularly, I'm going to make it 1414 width, and then 810 in height, because I want to just fill the entire viewport section. So I'm going to align left, or just make it centralized really. So it's just going to be like that. Then I'm going to align center, so make the content come to the middle, and then I want to make it add a fill, and then make the fill. Let's do red. So you can see what I've done here. So you can see that this featured section now has like a text inside of it, so it has its own background as well. So let's just make it white again. So the background is white. So the next thing I'm going to do is start creating all these other sections. So you can see as I scroll, I have this image and this image. So to create this now, the first thing I'm going to do is to create a mask. I'm not going to create him. I'm going to create a transparent section. So here is where things that might get tricky, or once you go kind of tricky. So here you have the image. There are two things that go into creating like this sticky image scroll. You must have the image as a background. This image you're seeing as a background, and then you must have this what's it called? This transparent section. Ideally this is just supposed to be one image, but then this is actually a transparent section. This is like a window. Let me call this one a window. So this is like a window that you're seeing through. You're seeing the background of the of the website through. So this image is like a background in Figma. I don't know how it's done in actual website design, but then in Figma, this image is going to be like a background. So this, and then you have a transparent window, a window with no frames that you can see the background of the image through, and then you apply two different scrolling mechanisms to the window and to the to the image. So the image is going to have a sticky scroll, and then the background is going to have the background which is the image is going to have a sticky scroll, which means that when it gets to the top it should stick. And then this window here is going to have no scroll. It's going to have the default scrolling mechanism, which is like the what do you even call it again? Which is like the the vertical scrolling, just the typical vertical scrolling. So as the window is scrolling, you can see the image through. The window itself. So that's just basically what we're going to do. So I'm going to create another section now. So I'm going to duplicate section. So they have 2 sections now. So this viewport, one thing I want to do is I want to make the viewport. I want to, because ideally, as anything goes outside of it, if the clip content is turned on, as anything goes outside of the viewport, it's going to be clipped out. It's going to be cut out. So cut off rather. So cut off, either one of them. But yeah, so I'm going to turn off clip content to make sure that anything that's going outside I can still see it, so I can make like informed and design decisions. So I'm going to first of all align this one to the top again, and then duplicate, and then select both sections and auto layout them. So you have 2 sections now, not the viewport. Keep taking like everything happens inside the viewport. Let me make the viewport. Let me add a stroke so you can actually see where the viewport is spanning to a red obnoxious stroke. Let me make it 20 as well. Outside, yeah, so you can see where the viewport stops, although here is being cropped out because the the image is overflowing. So on frame I think it's called overflow, so I'm going to call this one stack. Let me just call it stack. These are not the best contextual names, but then I'm just using names that I can relate to. Section stack here. So this is just going to contain all the sections, and then I'm going to have another background. So I'm going to call this one, let's call this section now. Let's call this section. Let's not call this section. Let's actually create a rectangle. So we're going to be creating the window now. The window through which you can see this image. So the window is actually very, very easy. Just for you to just create create a section without a fill. So this is the window. So anything that's behind it, you can actually see. So let me do something. So I'm going to create a rectangle. I'm going to add open on splash. So if there's anyone on the meeting, just take note that it's going to end, I think, on the 1 hour mark. So it's going to end because for some reason I could not renew my Google One subscription, and Google caps free account on at 1 hour. The 1 hour mark was so basically the meeting is not going to last more than 1 hour. But if we're still going to be doing tutorial, you can find the rest of the tutorial on YouTube in case you get logged out of the meeting. So that's just by the wayside. The architecture. So let's go for architecture or fashion. I think fashion always like resonates with what I'm trying to do even more. On here, I think since we're doing feature projects, let's do architecture because humans are not projects. But yeah, let's do architecture or interior design. Yeah, interior design has really good images. Interior design. So let's search for interior design. This is on Splash plugin I'm running. So I'm just going to make this image size. I'm going to make it 1440 by 810 as well. So 810 as well. You can see that I'm making everything. You can actually make it as a different dimension, but then I like making everything. Or for this one, I just want to make everything the same dimension as the background. So let's go for a nice looking landscape image. So let's go for free because I like free stuff. So let's go for this particular one here. I think it looks good. So we're just going to use to test out what we're trying to replicate here. And so this is going to be the image. Let's limit it as image. Okay. And then I'm going to Ctrl X and then click on the viewport and then paste it there. So it's above the section stack instead of the viewport. So I'm going to move it below the section stack. So you can see that it's hidden because the section stack has sections that have this first section here, which is the hero section, has a field. So let's call it hero. Let's just call it hero, not call it section, because we're going to have them at different sections. So hero has a field, but this one let's call it mirror. Sorry, let's call it window. Since we're using contextual names, that'll make us understand the whole layout space. So hero section, let's call it hero section. Section, okay. And then window section. So for our window section doesn't have a fill. Let's also remove let's also remove that particular text. Or let's leave the text so you can actually see what's going on. So hero section has a fill, and the window section does not have a fill. So that's just one thing to keep in mind first. So the image does not have anything applied to it. So what we're going to do now is actually we're going to click on the click on the I think there are multiple ways to do this actually. Okay. So the viewport, we're going to go to prototype and then apply a vertical scrolling behavior. So once I apply vertical scrolling, it means that everything inside of it should scroll vertically. So if you can see everything scrolls vertically like this. So what this means is that everything that you have inside of the the section stack, everything that goes into the into the viewport, it's going to just scroll as my mouse scroll away. But then if I say, okay, some elements I don't want them to scroll away. So elements on this design, I don't want them to scroll away. I can actually apply a sticky scroll to them. So you can see that this section stack, the behavior position is set to scroll with parent. Scroll with parents. So I can change it from scroll with parent to fixed and sticky. So the one that people are most most familiar with is actually the fixed stay in place behavior. So this one just like lifts your content above every other thing and it doesn't scroll away. But what we want to do is actually have but what we're going to apply the new scroll behavior position to is actually the image. So the image you don't want it to scroll away. We want it to still remain where it is. So ideally we could actually just set it to fixed. But fixed will make it above every other thing, and there's no way for you to actually move it to the bottom. Like there's no way, like it has to. The behavior is that it's going to be above every other thing, the layers section. So there's no way you can actually mess around with the position more than you currently have it like this. So the best thing to do is to apply a sticky scroll. So go to prototype, go to scroll behavior on the image, and then change it to sticky. So sticky will still make it behave like a fixed item, but then sticky items can actually like be either can be reordered in the layers panel. But then for a fixed position item, you can't actually reorder it. It just goes above every other thing that's in the normal scrollable section. So, but a sticky one is that the behavior of a sticky item is that once it gets to the top of the design, where the design ends at the top, it just sticks there. So ideally the frame, let me show you. Ideally a part of the image already touching the top of where the viewport ends at the top. So it's not going to scroll. But I'm going to show you the different variations. So let me turn on this section stack and then scroll now. So you can see as I scroll, you can see that the image is actually like still in the background. So that's just the idea that's going on. But then if I were to actually in this image, if I were to go to the image and then move it a bit, let's move it a bit. So it's, keep in mind, it's still in the viewport. If it's still in, everything is still in viewport. Try not to take any of your items out of viewport frame. So the only reason you can see them like this is because what's it called, clip content is turned on. If I turn on clip content again, you would see that they would disappear. So the way for you to know if an item is in the viewport or not is for you to just turn on clip content, and if it responds accordingly, then it's inside. If it does not, then it's actually outside. So keep in mind that everything should be a great way for you to keep your items inside the viewport while you're editing them is to move with your keyboard. Don't go and drag. If I used to drag and move, I could easily. So you can see currently it's outside of the outside of the image. I think there's a way to avoid it going out. I think it's for you to hold shift. Oh, it doesn't work. I think there's a way. I don't do not remember it. So if I used to hold control. I don't really know what works, but I know there's something that you can hold and then it doesn't go outside of the frame when you're moving, but with your mouse. But if you use an easy way to just for you to use your keyboard, hold shift and then use your arrow keys, and then you can move things around without breaking them out of the frame. So that's just one way to go. So the image frame, I'm going to just move it downwards a bit. So it was in the middle before, so I just moved it. So I just moved it downwards with my arrow key. I was holding shift and then I was pressing down. So holding shift just makes it move in huge jumps. So I'm just going to move it to, let's see, this point here. So keep in mind like that what I said is that once the image scrolls, let me turn off section stack. So the viewport has a scrolling behavior applied to it, but then the viewport is supposed to like make everything inside of it scroll upwards, like just scroll to infinity until the end of the content. But if I apply sticky scroll to a background, to one of the elements, most preferably the background image, as I keep scrolling, and once it gets to the top, it just sticks there. So ideally there's still more to scroll, but there's still scrolling going on, but then the image does not scroll because it has touched the top of the viewport itself. So that's just one thing to keep in mind as well. So let me turn off I think this thing starting to like be too obnoxious. So turn it off. So yeah, it just sticks to that point top of the stuff, and that's that for the behavior. So let's turn on section stack again. So what this allows us is to allow us to still for the image to stick while the other section of the design just keeps them scrolling away. So that's just one thing allows us. So you can see as I scroll to the top, you can see that the image is scrolling up because ideally it has not touched the top of the viewport. But then once it touches the top, you can't see when it touches. You can't see when it touches because this background is covering it. But then once it touches the top, let's see if I can actually make it transparent even itself. So let me make it 80% transparent. Okay. So you can see that, you can see where the image is here. So once it's scrolling, and then it touches the top, it just stops scrolling, and then the other part of the website keeps scrolling away. So that's just what's going on here currently. So that's just what we're going to do. That's the idea we're going to build upon to create the other sections of the website. So let's go back to this, and yeah, so we have our first one set up. We have this one called window, I think, yeah, window section. So window section is just basically an empty section that you don't have anything inside of. So I think preferably I like to make my window section not auto layout. So I prefer to remove that so I can actually mess around with it. So this window section, I could actually do anything with it. I could actually like add a stroke. So I could add a stroke, internal stroke, make it, let's say, 14, and make the color, okay, yeah, F rather. Then make the width, the thickness, make it 14. So you can see it has a, what's it called now. So let's make it red so you can actually see what's going on. So you can see that the what do you call it? The frame section, sorry, the window section has like a stroke to it now. So the idea that I did with this one here is that the strokes are like I made the window section a component. So that once my mouse touches that touches the, what do you call this section again? Touches the window section, you can see that the stroke just like comes into view and then frames the image. It's just like a really nice touch. The idea is that the image comes closer to the user while the stroke just like helps you focus on a particular section. So I'm trying to like frame the necklace, or I think that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to frame the necklace that she's wearing so you can actually like focus on it. So this one does not really frame, it just like has like this really wide view of it, but then coming like hovering over this section just frames the image, frames the woman's neck piece, and that's just the idea I'm going for. So you can actually do a lot of stuff with that particular section. You can actually turn it into like a circle, whatever you want to do. So I could actually make it so that it's like just go to skin up corner radius and make it like something like this. So then it's going to be kind of wonky. Well, yeah, basically this is what I'm trying to do. Although if I was doing a rounded section, I'll actually approach it differently. I'll have like sections upon sections, but we're not doing this, so let's not spend it too much. I will make this a mask instead. I'll actually make it a mask. I think the best way to go is actually create a mask really for this section, but since we're doing something simplistic, let's just focus on using a frame instead of a mask. So going to call this one window section. You can make a window section as long, as short, as small as possible, whatever you want to do with it really. So that's just one thing to do. Or another best way to approach it, it's not the best way to approach it. So yeah, that's just that for the frame section. Let's probably have something here. Let's say this one is just going to be like the image name, let's call it cont nast or cont nast. I think cont nast is a company that has Vogue and some other companies underneath it. But yeah, let's just use it for this thing. So let's call this one view project, okay. And I'm going to just make it like this, and I'm going to make it self-fill hot content, and then I think I want to add an arrow so I can just tell you like you are going to be going in. So I'm going to open the sit on icons, and then I'm going to just search for arrow. I'm going to go for the one that's pointing right. Is it right? Yeah, this one. So another thing I want to do is that to go with the the feel of the font, which has like sharp edges. I'm just going to like turn the edge of the arrow into like sharp edges as well. So just click on the vectors themselves and then click on this icon. Sorry, on this icon here, and then change to square. So you can see that the edges now are squared off. So I also want to just reduce the length of this line, so it doesn't burst out of the arrow. And then this thing to square off this edge as well, to sharpen off this edge, you just want you to just go to this option here and then click on this change to mitre. So that's how you get this sharp squared off design. So I'm going to make this thing one. Typically for my icon I typically make it 1.5. So just keep my, like all my designs, 1.5 is always the default thickness for my icon. So I'm also going to make the I'm going to lock the proportion, and then I want to just copy the arrow, Ctrl X, paste the text, and then I want to paste to replace the text, and then I want to auto layout them together, align them left or horizontally rather. sorry, yeah, horizontally, and then make the spacing between them. Let's do 16. 16 feels too much as well. Let's do 8. So you can see I'm still applying that 4 4 4 spacing system here. So I think the next thing I want to do just align them to the left and then give them a padding. Let's do 40 for the padding. 40 for the padding as well. And then fill. We're doing fill. Let's not do fill. Let's just make it white. Okay. So let's make it white. Ideally, if this was my project, I'll probably make it what's it called? There's this thing I currently do in my project where I can actually make the color change depending on the background. So I can actually make the color either black or make it white because it's just a blending mode technique that I currently use, but I don't think we have time to do that. So you can see that as I scroll, just like the coding has just layers over the image itself. So I can actually like repeat this particular thing for this particular effect for a couple of sections. So I think another thing I want to do is to align it properly. Just make it sits just right up outside of the border so it doesn't like go into the where the strokes are. So all of this is just aesthetics really. What we're really focusing on is actually the actual interactive design, but it doesn't mean we should not actually put effort into making the actual design look nice itself. So yeah, this could just actually be just how we handle the whatever. So to also still make the text pop even more, again, this is all the visual design part of this section. The actual part is really the interactive part, but yeah, let's just still do great work on the design. So just add a overlay, just click on the image and then add an overlay, press plus here, and then add an overlay of like a black overlay. So here the text pops even more on against the image and background. So that's just something I would do if it were me. I mean, it is me, but then yeah, so you just get the idea. So that's just something. We could actually repeat this whole system for multiple other sections. So yeah, basically you have the whatever project section. So I think another thing I want to do to just make the visual, to improve on the visual part is to like add a scroll whatever. So I'm going to like add a circle. No, I'm going to copy this icon here, Control C, and then I'm going to duplicate this and then Control V. Okay, sorry. Copy to replace, which is Shift Command R. Or if you're using Windows, I think it's Control Shift R or Shift Control R. There's no really wrong or right way to press it. Just press it together, and then it's going to work. So I'm going to change the color to black 00. Okay, and then I want to just turn it like this, like rotate it like this. I could actually just go and get the actual one that's pointing down, but then that's just going to be long work. So I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to group it, Control G, and then I'm going to frame it. Because if I had to just Shift A currently, it's just going to turn the frame the icon frame into like a auto layout group, and that's not really what you want. It's going to mess things up. So you can see how it's looking funky. So what I want to do is to group it first, and then turn that group into the auto layout group instead. So I'm going to by pressing Shift A. So I'm going to just name it circle. So I'm going to name it circle. I'm calling circle because you're going to see what I'm going to do in a second. So I want to, for this circle, I'm going to add a stroke, and then I'm going to make the stroke. Let's do the stroke outside. Let's make it outside stroke, and then I'm going to just round off the corner. So 999, just one ridiculous amount to make a total circle. So now for the size, I think I want to just make it like a fixed size. So I'm going to make the size, the width 80. Okay, and then oh boy, something is wrong. Something is critical. Okay, the arrow right. The arrow is actually being there's a absolute position applied. So just click on this button. It's going to come. If yours has that effect, just click on the button, then it's going to come to the middle. So you can mess around with the position by clicking on these options here. But if it's absolute position, it's going to be outside of the auxiliary frame. So that's just something you should have in mind as well. So yeah, I think with this, the next thing I want to do is to just I want to apply the absolute position to this particular thing now. I could actually just take out the auto layout on the hero section. That could be easier way for me to move things around, but then it's not the most ideal way because you have to, when you're designing stuff, like you have to think of developing it, because if you're developing things, you can't just place things everywhere. You can't just place things anywhere and everywhere. You have to like actually try to use positioning to place things out of a confined area. So let's apply absolute position to this there are multiple ways to do it, but what I'm just going to go, the route I'm going to go for is just to click on the circle. I think I'm naming it circle, but yeah, let's just click on absolute position, and then I can it just takes that particular element out of the auto layout frame, like a movement wise, position wise, you can actually move it like freely. But then it's still inside of the section stack group. If I to select delete section stack, the hero section stack is going to go away. Or rather, sorry, the hero section rather, it's going to go. So it's still inside of the hero section, but then a position wise I can actually move it around as I so desire. So I'm going to align vertical center, horizontal center rather, and then align to the bottom. So I can also do this and then space it away from the bottom. Let's do 40, I think 40. So again, like I said, always check how it looks in the preview mode, so you can see how it looks. So this is just like telling you that there's more at the bottom, so you can see how we are trying to like shape things in our design. So I think another thing I want to do just to make it look like a real website is just going to copy like a, I don't like using I don't like what's it called, remaking what do you call this thing again, self? I don't like remaking navbar, so I just like copy, since it's exploration purpose, I just like copying the same navbar and using the across my design. So I'm just going to group this, Ctrl C, call it navbar, Ctrl C, and then I'm going to paste in this design. So I'm going to click on viewport and then paste. Yeah, so that's it. So for the navbar, one thing I'm going to do for the navbar is I'm going to actually make it in the prototype. I'm going to make it fixed, because so I don't want to, I actually want to be above every other thing at every point in time. I don't want it to be under things at any point in time. Although if I want to go under things at any point in time, I actually can do that. I think I've done that before, but it's really tricky business. So the best thing to do is just to make it like fixed. Make it fixed so it's above every other thing as you scroll. So you can see as I scroll, it's above every other thing. So that's just it. So you can see you can't see, but let me still create like an extension of this page here. Okay, so you can see that first of all the colors of the navbar here is actually like black, but as I keep scrolling and then I get to this image section, you can see it changes to, I don't know what color it is, but then it just like contrasts against the background. So that's something I normally do for elements I want to be visible whether on dark or light background, so I can actually just mess around with it. So if I were to make this background, let's say total black, this image here total black, as I scroll from this white section to the black section, you can see that it changes into white. So I think I have shown how to do this in one of my other tutorials, the tutorial on making there's this thing, making the 24K website page. So that's just one thing. This call ends in 20 minutes. Okay, someone is actually here. So if the call ends, you can still join again. I think it's going to work that way. But if you can't join again, no problem. Just go to my UC page on, I think, Emisure Victor. Just search for Emisure Victor, and then you're going to find a video there, like let's say tomorrow or about this evening or so. I'm going to upload it today. So I think I have the video there how I created that multiple background transition. So I think it's this one. Sorry, I'm trying to find it. Oh boy, videos. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to this particular one here. So I have the tutorial on how I make that negative effect that way it changes from white to black without you having to change. So it's just like stacking two images on each other, applying two different blending modes on them, and then you have that effect done. So you can see that's just something by the wayside. So let's go back to the actual tutorial. So as I've added another, and it feels more like a website now. It's a clean website, but then it feels more like a website than we initially had before. So as I keep scrolling, I get to section, and then you have the coordinates that shows, and then I can view project. So we're going to just keep going with that. So first thing I want to do is to go back to this to make it small. So with this done, I want to start adding like some transition. I want to create like a couple more sections and then add transition effect. So one thing I like doing in the scroll section, you have the section stack, which is the major website, and then the backgrounds for the BGs. The image is just going to be the background. So I'm going to have the image as the background. So I'm going to create a couple more images. Let's do like 3 more images. So for this image, I'm going to have I'm going to just move this one to the bottom. So the images, they can move more freely because they're not in an auto layers group, and I actually want to keep it that way. Because if I actually make them an auto layer group, it may start getting tricky if I want to start applying what's it called sticky scrolls, right? So I just want to keep it this way. So that's that. So I'm going to move. So let's call this one image 1. Let's call it image 1, then image 2. Okay, so I'm just going to keep duplicating from there, and they're just going to keep going down there. So this one, I'm going to just So I'm just going to move it to the bottom a bit. So what's going to happen here is that ideally, let me change the image. So I'm going to change the image on splash. So I'm going to look for an interior image, interior design. Okay. If I just search interior, I'm still going to get the same result. And then change the orientation to landscape and free. Yeah. So let's go for this one. I think this one looks nice. And looks clean enough because I don't actually want clutter. That's one thing I don't like. I like going for clean looking images, not cluttered images. It just makes your design, especially since I'm actually just having the text over it. I want to make it really as clean as possible, to have too many subjects. So that's just one design thinking that goes into my selection of images as well. So yeah, with that done, I can actually have this particular scrolling effect applied. This particular scrolling effect is just still going to take place. However, what is happening here is that this image still scrolls as well, but then I want it to be over once this one sticks to the top. Once this particular image sticks to the top, the next one should come. This image, once it sticks, the next one should come and stack over it. So that's the idea that I'm going to go. But then it doesn't do that because what is happening here is that this image 2 that's at the bottom is going underneath it, because in the last one it was actually under it. So what's going to happen is that as I keep scrolling, it's just going to stack under this image that's behind here. So we don't want that. What you can do to fix that, just to have the images that keep coming at the bottom, keep stacking them over the one that's at the top. In the image that in the visual editor, this is the visual editor, the images that are at the top should actually be at the bottom in the layers panel. So the more you keep having images that are appearing at the bottom, so if I have another image here, this image 3, it's just going to stack above image 2. So like that, just so that as I keep scrolling, they can stack, so you can see what's happening. The image is stacking over the one that's there before. So that's just something you should just be aware of. On the visual editor, it can actually be image 1, 2, 3, but then what's it called in the layers panel, it should be image 3, 2, 1, like that. So that's just, let me add one more image, and then I think we'll be good for the image thing. So interior. I think there's an interior here. I'm stressing myself. So portrait, landscape. Again, free. And I want to go for the clean looking ones. Something is off. Okay, call ends in 50 minutes. I could not extend. I tried everything. Nigerian cards are messing up. So yeah, let's just manage. In case he ends, I think you can still join again. So the next thing here, I want to do just to have an image. So let's go for this one. Let's go for kitchen instead. I think we're going for living room, sitting room soon. So let's go for kitchen. Okay, I think this one looks cool. So let's go for this one. Okay, so I think we're cool with 3 images. These are going to do. So you can see that in the way I've arranged them in the layers panel, it's just going to like stack over each other and each other. So what I'm going to do is just to create windows for these other images as well, so that all the images have like a corresponding window. It doesn't just have one window that shows this Condé Nast window for this first project, and then you just have nothing there. So I'm just going to create windows for the other ones, and then link the images to their relative windows. So the next thing I want to do is just to go to the section stack and then create a new window. So I don't think I want to create like a I want to create a break between them. So this visual break just going to help me. At least just going to give me some room before the other one shows. Because I don't want the image to start. I think we can actually do that. We can do that. Can just make them keep showing after each other. It not be pretty, but I think it's going to work. So yeah. So let's have it like this. Let's see how it plays out first before I go ahead to explain. So as I scroll from Condé Nast, okay, and scrolls to the other one. Yeah, so you have this next one and like that. But then I personally like creating like a break between them, like a visual gap between them. I want there to be room before the other next one shows. So to do that is just to create as creating like let's create a rectangle and call it break, section break. You don't have to do this, but I feel like I just like the feeling it gives. It gives you some breathing space before the next one shows. I don't want to just start showing after each other. It just like makes it sort of tiring. So I can actually make this. I could actually make this a rectangle, or make it a section. Really, a section that has some body of text. Let's make it a section that has some body of text, because I feel like that's even better. So I am going to just copy like some text. Okay. Oh, my text is messed up. Okay, I'm going to copy some text here, paste it here. So you don't have to do this. Like I said, you don't have to do this, but I'm doing it just because it's going to help me give some breathing space for the next one, for the next image shows. So I'm going to go to section stack and search for the window section 1. Let's call it window section. add one, two, naming to, sorry, numbering to the sections, So yeah, window section 1, window section 2, and so on, and so forth. So for this second window section, I'm going to change it to a brick section. Let's just call it section brick. I'm trying to find the best contextual name. So section brick. Yeah, and then I want to make it a fill. Actually, I want to make it a fill instead, and then I want to add some text to it. Some text here. It doesn't have to be fancy text. Just some text, really. It's up to you to decide the what's it called, design language of your website at the end of the day. But me, I think I'm just going to have some text in the middle, and I'm going to change it to obviously PP. That's New Montreal. Yeah, New Montreal. And I'm also going to make it yeah, nobody text. And also so I think this is looking okay. 16, and then a line to the middle. All of this is just aesthetic stuff I'm just doing just to give my design some sort of aesthetic. So I think this one wants to make it a auto layout group instead. So make it auto layout. So the height, I don't want the height, I just want the height to be just small. Let's cap the height to, let's say, okay, let's make it the hot content height. I'll make it let's say 80. Okay, so this is just like a section break, and I can add a button. Don't really know what this button does, but let's just add a button that does something. Okay, let's align vertically. Or you know what, we could actually just make use of this space here, make it 120 instead. So all of this is just visual stuff. You don't really have to exactly do your layouts could be different, but me, I'm sweating it because I feel like I just want to look good. What is what doing is what doing well. So yeah, we could actually have this, and then have like a header here as well. Header here. Again, all of this is visual stuff. It's not really necessary for this tutorial, but I think having a good looking website at the end of the day still will help us. So I'm just going to make it slightly black, something like this. The line height, I'm going to make it smaller. Let's do 80%. Let's do 80%. Yeah, I think this looks cool. 80% looks too small, and 6% instead. So the 96% thing is still on the 4 pixel grid thing. So I think this meeting is still going to end anytime soon. So if it ends again, you can just join. I think you can still join again. If it doesn't work, then don't worry, you're going to see the video up on my YouTube channel before the end of today. So let's make the spacing 16. Let's make it 24 instead. Okay, so I think this looks cool, and I'm just going to align this thing to the bottom. Make them have the same bottom instead. So I think we have a nice looking layout like this. We have a nice looking layout like this. It's not the best, but it works for what we need it for. So 40 instead. Yeah. So we have something that looks good. Let's call it. Let's say it looks good. So let's name something else. Names are hard to come by, so let's just leave it like that. So yeah, that's just that. So you have a break section, and then you have the next image. So you can see it has this kind of magazine like feel, and I just like the transitions from section to section. It gives you like breathing space from the first image to the next image. It doesn't just like you're not just overloaded with image content, image after image after image. So I think that is what I was trying to go for with the whole break thing. So you can have something different text here, and then like that. So you have the next image that shows like this. So it has a very clean and nice looking feel to it. So what is happening here, like I said, in the image section, let's turn off the section stack. So in the image section, what's really happening is just like the images are just stacking on top of each other. But then because of the way you've aligned the section, what's it called, the windows, the window only tallies with the window. Each window, you can see that this window here comes just after the other image 2. So this image 3, we can actually move it away from, so it doesn't interfere. You can move it away like very, very far from where this thing. So ideally this image image 3 rather, we can actually create its own section for it, its own window for it. So we'll just Ctrl D and then Ctrl D this one as well. So yeah, so we're going to have what's it called, window section 4. Sorry, no, window section 3 really. Where is window section? Okay, you have window section 1, section 2. Okay, yeah, there's a break, so I just have 2. So you're going to have this one as 3. So window section 3. So you can see that I have the images coming just before their corresponding windows. So this is window 3, this is window 2, this is window 1. So window 1 has its image close to it, window 2 has its image close to it. So you can actually move the image a bit closer to it, not to be inside totally, but then to be closer to it, or even to be away from it. But why I'm moving it closer is because I don't want it to enter I don't want some part of the image to enter the second window. So that's why I'm trying to move it closer to its own window instead. So that it actually just comes, it moves a bit just before its own window. So that's just one thing. So you can see as I'm scrolling, this window 1 with its own image, window 2 with its own image, and window 3 showing its own image. So that's just a really nice thing that I thought to have. So I think the last part of this thing, ideally this tutorial would have been done, but then I like adding interactivity to my stuff. I just like adding interactivity. So I want it to be like as my mouse enters each section. So you can see that something that's happening here, as my mouse enters this particular section here, as I scroll, it's not working as smooth as it was before this tutorial, but then as I scroll and my image touches this section, you can see that the image just zooms in, and then there's this window itself just has like a, what's it called, has like a, the corner just, sorry, before it was widescreen, but then there's this white thing that comes up on the edge. So that's just something I want to have for my windows as well. So to do that, it's actually very easy. It's just to create one component and then have the component repeat across the board. So to do that, but it might be tricky because I've changed a couple of things. But yeah, let's see what we can do. So to do that, just for us to just create a, go drag on the window sections outside, and then we want to create like a component. We want to make a component out of it. So the component, I don't want the text part of components. Text should be part of the actual design itself. So I'll create a window section here. I'm going to remove the fill. I'm going to remove the stroke. I could have actually left the stroke, but then Figma doesn't really do well with strokes. So I'm going to, it doesn't animate strokes very well. So I'm going to actually create a rectangle instead. So the rectangle inside of the window section. So it's going to be a white rectangle. So I'm going to make it F. So in case meeting ends, like I said, try to join again. If it doesn't work, you can just call it a day and wait for when the tutorial comes. I'll keep in touch on Twitter, and then I'll let you know when it's up. So 40, I'm going to make the rectangle 40. So I'm going to call it rectangle. Let's call it what do I call it? I'm going to call it stroke. I'm going to call it stroke. So it's going to be one of the strokes that come from the left. So I'm going to let me add a fill color here so you can actually see what's going on. So red. So you can see that the stroke is just going to come out from the sides of the frame itself, of the window section itself. So Control D. So yeah, you have the left and the right stroke. So the next thing I want to do is just to click on the window section and click content. Okay, something is messed up. 1440, yeah. So the window section, I want to make sure it's 1440. Okay, cool. That's cool. So the stroke, yeah, you have the stroke as 40. You have the stroke as 40, which is which is the same as the other strokes that we have here as well. So I'm going to then turn on clip content for this for the window section, and then duplicate it, and then in this version, in this before state, I'm going to have the stroke like outside of the frame. So I'm using my keyboard to move it outside, so it's hidden outside. And then here I'm going to do the same thing again. 1 2 3 4. So just moving it 4 times, that's 40. Multiples of 40 is just going to do just make sure it's hidden outside. For what I think you should, another thing I think another advice I'll probably suggest is that try to also make it like the same distance away from this left stroke. Make it the same distance so that it doesn't come out at different times. It comes out at the same time. So if I'm going to make it 10 pixels away from the window section, I'm also going to make one 10 pixels away from the window section as well. So something like that. But let's make this at 10. I think let's do at 10. And then I'm going to select both of them. And then I'm going to create a component. Press button here. Then create a component set. So that's really that for this one. I can now add an interaction. So I can go ahead to add an add an interaction by going to prototype and then just linking this one to this one. And then I'm going to set the action button to while hovering. So when I hover, it should just change to that. The stroke should move from here to here as well. So that's while hovering. And then I want to set from here to smart animate, and then ease out. I think ease out works. And then I'm changing timing to, let's say 800. 800. I think 800 is too much. 600 is just a sweet spot. So yeah, we have these components done, and it's pretty much, that's pretty much it. So we just copy this window section, copy this first one, this first before state, Control C. Let's name it something. Let's give it a property. So property, I'm going to name property 1 state. Let me just name it property 1 state. I'm only naming all this because I want you to be able to like understand what's going on. So before and after. Forgive my spelling. But yeah. Okay. Yeah, so Control C, and I'm going to then click on this window section here and then paste it. Okay, no, doesn't work. So I'm going to just duplicate this. I want to paste this component, this window section component inside of this window section here. So ideally, these are supposed to be called section. So let's just call it section. Let's call it window section really. But then I'm going to control V this content. I'm going to what's it called, duplicate the content out of it, and then control shift replace. Paste to replace rather. So yeah, you're going to have the component inside of the window section. So I want to just then what do you call it? I want to then what do I want to do? I want to align left, align top. So it's proper. So it's properly in the window section. So like this, it's like in the middle of the window section. So what I want to just do now is just to move the the components to the background. So the component is in the background as it currently is now. That's the window interactive component. So I want to then, in this component, I want to then just off the fill. So I want to just off the fill. That's basically all you need to just off the fill, and that's all. You can leave it like this. Ideally, you can actually off the fill from the components from the original components, but then you may not be able to see it as you keep copying and pasting around. So you want to be able to see where it is in the design. So which is why I just turned it off in the actual instance, component instance. So let's see how it works in actual this thing. So you can see as let's replay the component. I think you have to replay the component. Reload component, and then I want to I think one thing I'm not doing is click on the window section and then remove the stroke rather. So the stroke should only come from the component itself, not the actual section itself. So let's see how it works. So I'll just scroll, so you can see what's happening. The size of the image just come into view. So like this, we'll be able to achieve the what's it called, the what do you call this thing again? We're able to achieve the effects on the window itself, on the image window itself. So the next one is to achieve the effect on achieve the zooming in effect on the actual image itself. So let's just add that extra layer of interactivity to the image itself. So to do that, it's actually also very easy, but stick with me. Call is about to end. So let me just end the call, and then who wants to join can join again. So end the call for everyone. Okay. So I don't think I can join the call again. Can I still join the call? Let's see. Join. Nah, the call has ended. But either way, if you're watching on YouTube, you're going to find this on YouTube. But yeah, that's just basically. So I'm going to add that extra layer of interactivity on the image itself. So I think what I need to do currently is to adjust where the position of this image, because at this point it's no longer having a bottom field. Do I want to have bottom field as well? Oh. I think I also have bottom field. I want to have it come from the bottom as well. So sorry, top as well. So what I want to do is to actually still add some, like create some rectangles that come from the top and bottom as well. So let's do that. So stroke, and then rotate the stroke here, and then have it at the top. So make sure it's spanning the entirety of the top section. So yeah, this, and then you have this at the bottom as well. So you have that some that you have the stroke that come from the top and bottom. So I'm just going to copy them, Control C them, and then paste in second one. So you have the left, right, top and bottom, and left, right, up and down. So yeah, here we're going to move it out, obviously move it outside. 10 as well. So 10 as well. 10 pixels away from the starting point or from its end point as well. So yeah, 10 as well. So with that, I think we should actually have something that works. Shit. So you can see how messed up it is. So what we're just going to do is just to, I think why it's messed up like this is because the layers are just all over the place. So try to make, if I had done this like from the start, from the get-go, we wouldn't have had this issue. So what's happening is that here you can see that this top and bottom stroke are in the middle. So then they are in the layers panel. Here you have this left stroke. Is it left stroke? Yeah, you have the right stroke. There you have it. But then just basically it just goes to the layers panel and then you just move them to be organized in the same manner. Just so you have the two up and down strokes in the middle. But if I had done this from the get-go, we wouldn't have had these issues. But yeah, currently it should work fine. So you can see how it works really good. So it just frames the image that you're viewing properly. So that's just one thing. That's what I also want to do. So what we can just do here is just to copy this window section here that has the interactive window component side of it. So let's call it window components. Let's call it window, interactive window. Let's call it interactive window. Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to have it like that, and then I want to copy the first window section that has interactive window component side of it. Control C it, and then paste to replace the other ones. Just select the other ones. That's the Windows section 2, Windows section 3, and then just paste to replace, really. So I can also name them properly. So Windows section 2, Windows section 3, like that. So all the sections are going to act. So basically, what it means is all the sections are going to act the same way as I move my mouse over them. So that's just one want to have. That is the effect we want to have. So you can rename the text as you want. You can just rename the text in the others. So ideally, you can actually make the entire section a component. But then let's not delve into that. It might get too complex. So let's work with this for now. So yeah, with that done, the next thing I want to do, I think the next thing I want to do is to let's do like this. Yeah, doesn't look good. Doesn't look as good as I want. Let's leave that 120 instead. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is to start handling the way the images behave. So the image, I want it to be, as I hover over the image also like also reacts as well. It also like zooms in or does something. I don't know whether I want it to zoom in or zoom out, depending on what you want. So yeah, let's just have one of the image outside, bring one of the image outside, duplicate one of the image outside, and then for this one it's going to be really tricky. For the image, we have to frame it a couple of times, and then make it act instead of that frame. Let me even go and check my original design and see how I did it, because I think it was kind of really tricky and I had to make lots of frames. 1, 2, so 2 frames. Okay, make it 3 frames really. You have the main frame, 1, 2, and then the actual image. Okay, cool. So yeah, sorry, just give me 1 second to figure out what's going on here, because I need to know what's going on. Interesting. Okay. Here you have clip content. Okay, so you have like 3 frames. You have 1 frame, 2 frame, 3 frames. Yeah, so let's get started. So for ours, we have to nest these frames 3 times. We have to nest the image inside of 3 frames. Yeah, let me be sure it's 3 frames actually. So we have 1, 2, 3. So you have to nest this frame 3 times. I figured that was the best way to make it work. Every other solution I tried failed. I tried to do 1 frame, didn't work. 2 frames, didn't work. So you have to nest it twice. So to nest it first time, just frame it, frame selection 1. Let's name it something like let's name it F, or let's name it since it's image, we are going to use IMG. So let's call this one G. And we're going to frame it again, frame selection again. We're going to rename this one what's it called, M. Okay, and then I'm going to frame selection again. I'm going to rename it to so IMG. That's the what's it called, first 3 letters of image. So you have the M frame inside of the I frame, you have the G frame inside of the M frame, and then you have the actual image inside of the G frame. So that's just how I figured I saw it was going to work. So let's call this one image. Let's actually call this image, because without having a long name, it's going to be hard to click it. So let's call it image. Let's call this image frame. Let's call this one nest. I'm trying to look for contextual names. Names already matter, but then I'm trying to like actually look for contextual names. So let's call this one image one, I guess. Let's call this image. Yeah, so I think we're good to go. So the next thing I want to clip content here. Turn on clip content for it, so that anything once it zooms out, zooms in, no parts is showing outside. So that's just something to do. And then you want to rename it, duplicate it, and then in this version, select the actual image and then zoom, just like stretch it, like hold shift and command, shift and the option, or shift and the alternate if you're using I mumble a lot, I'm really sorry. Yeah, hold alternate and then hold shift and then just zoom in to your own satisfaction. You can zoom in all the way or just zoom in a bit, but I think for me I just want like subtle interaction. So the more you zoom in, the harsher the interaction is going to be. So just I think I'm going to zoom in a bit, just a bit, like that. So I'm not really going to give you sizes, because size is actually depending on what you want to, the kind of effect you want to achieve. So I'm going to just select both of them and then create a component set as well. So for this component set now, what I want to just do is link both images to have the same interaction like this one. So obviously you can actually have different interactions, but yeah, let's use the same interaction as this one. So click on the first one, select prototype, and then link with the next one, and then change to while hovering, and then ease out 600. So you can actually mess around with it. You can actually change different if you want the image to act. So I think we can actually do different. Let's do different with one. Let's make it 1000 instead. 1000. So yeah, it's going to last longer or be slower. It's going to be slower and also last longer than the duration is going to be slower and last longer than the duration of the interactive window component. So let's do it 100 instead. I think we can now have different names for this one. So this is going to be before, okay, default and then hover. Let's use those simple names instead. So Control C the image frame, and then select this image here, and then paste to replace as well. So like this is a component now. It's a component, an image component. So let's name it image component, image frame 1. So you can have like, we can know which image, which is which, image frame 1, and then Control C to paste to replace one. Let's move this one outside. Then paste to replace it. Then paste to replace, and then paste to replace one as well. Yeah. So we have image frame 1. Keep in mind that this is what's it called. Section stack is a separate entity on its own. But then you have the images as the background, image frame 1, image frame 2, and image frame 3, like that. So I'm just going to click on this image. Because I don't want to have to go and add the image. I can actually go and add the image again, but then it might be like a long, what's it called? It might be like a long route to follow. So what I'm supposed to do is just to Control Alternate C this one, and then select the actual image here. Make sure the actual image, not the image frame, not the nest or the image component. Select the actual image, and then Control Option V. That didn't work. That didn't work. But yeah, you know what? Let's do the old-fashioned way. Let's go and run on Splash. So I'm going to select the actual image, the image frame you want to select, the image frame. Select the actual image out of it, and then go and run on your Splash. Run on Splash. So I think I have to find those images again. I think I like those particular images I used. Let's switch to landscape. Free, obviously. And let's look for, we're going to use anyone, but I think, okay, I found out. So I have that actual image selected. I'm just going to click on the image I want. So it's going to change image both on the before and after state, so you don't have to worry about that. It's just a scalable way to design. So the last one, we select the last one as well, which is the image frame 3. I think image frame 3 is peeking a bit into the other frame, into the other window. I don't want it, so I'm going to move down a bit. And then I can just like look for kitchen here. For kitchen. Change the word to be kitchen. Okay. So I'm trying to look for, yeah, this, I think I like this kitchen. Oh, you see the mistake I made. I just gonna select the actual image frame and then I change the image here. So that's actually a very wrong way to go. So you don't want to have any image. So you don't want to have anything. So I want to Control Z, yeah. And then I want to select the actual image frame, the actual image itself. So select the actual image side of the nest. Don't select the image frame and then change the image. Select the actual image itself, and then click on the image you want, and you're good to go. So like this, everything should work perfectly. Everything should work like God's grace. I think it's a bit messy, but let's restart again. Let's reload first time. It should work fine. I believe so. So ideally, we should have this. Something is up. Something is the problem. Something is the problem. You know what? Let's close the prototype and then play the viewport again, because it should work. Oh boy, there's trouble. It's not working on the image, and I don't think I want to spend too much time sweating on if it works or not. So it's always really messy. Okay, default script content is turned on. After hover. Okay, I'm trying to find what is exactly wrong with the what is wrong with the prototype, and when it's not working fine. If I can't find it, then unfortunately I think we have to just you have to bear with me. I have to bear with me. Okay, I think what I should have done. Let me see my other one. Let me refer to my other design to be sure I did not make a mistake. Okay. Okay, so it was the image that I resized. It was the frame I resized. This last frame that I resized. Okay, yeah. So I see what's wrong now. For some reason, Figma just handles things like really in a really weird manner. So I'm going to shrink this image down back, okay, to the exact size it was, and then I'm going to expand this nest instead. This like nest before the image. So this nest is going to be the one I'm expanding. For some reason, I don't know why it does like that, but then it just works. So I'm going to expand the nest instead. But before I do that, I must set the image behavior to what's it called, to scale. So set the behavior. Just come here, click on the image, and then come here and set it to scale. So just set it to scale and you're good. So set it, then you cannot scale the next. You can actually increase the size of the next holding while holding uh, option and shift, so you can scale proportionally. So that's just what you need to have. So with that done, I think ideally it should work. In an ideal situation, it should work. But if it doesn't work, then I think we're done because I'll have to go and figure out what is wrong with it. So let's reload again and see how it fares this time. Yeah, I think the next thing that we need to do is to also set the image frames, set the behavior of the image frames, set the behavior to go to step, set it to change from scroll break to fixed. Yeah, I think that was the issue really. Sticky. So set it to sticky. So that once they obviously behave like that one. So sticky, hopefully should work fine now. So you can see how it works. So you can see that the image zooms into view, and then as I scroll away, just so I think we're able to figure out the errors that were wrong with it and sort out all the problems. So with this, we have our design and prototype working and running very, very fine. So you can do with this tutorial what you want. And if you have any problems while you're trying to replicate all these things, reach out to me and I will obviously going to help out as best as I can. So I think the image is acting a bit wonky, but then you're always going to have this small glitches because Figma at the end of the day is not like a perfect design and prototyping. It's a perfect design tool. It's an okay design tool, but then the prototyping, it's always like really messy, which is I'm also trying to pick up on what's it still called again? I've forgotten the name. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, origami. So origami, I'm trying to pick up on origami to see how I can use it to improve my prototype. But then currently I try to do what I can with Figma. So with this, you can achieve this prototype. And if you have any issues, like I said, reach out to me and I will help out as best as I can. So that's all for today. Thank you for coming. And sorry we've not been having the design session for a while. I've been really, really busy at work. So yeah, see you some other time. Take care and bye.